funny enough, they're quoted as saying there's a lot of pressure on people's time these days. That doesn't mean that people want to pay less for their entertainment, or they want to pay more for less entertainment. Let me be very specific here. Retract that first comment. It doesn't mean that people are expecting to get less entertainment and paying the same or more money. That's not what that means. Okay? We talk a lot about, even if it's something like a subscription service. And again, it's going to be respective to each individual person and how they feel about how much is an appropriate amount of time to get out of what you're paying for your entertainment, right? But 8 hours? And I'm sorry, but for Ninja Theory to be calling this a video game is weird for me. This is, I'm telling you right now, I'm expecting the majority of this game to be, or at least a good solid chunk of this game, to be a interactive cinematic experience. It's not going to be a true video game, even though they keep calling it just a video game. So I think what they mainly focused on was trying to make this grandiose environment for you to play through and look at, and to look very good and to tell a story, but it's going to be short. I think you're going to be disengaged from a lot of controlling what happens in the game quite often, other than maybe some joystick holds, you know what I mean, to walk around and stuff. I'm not expecting a lot from this, to be honest, Scornblade 2, basically, dude. Yeah. yeah. The developer of Hellblade 2 has explained why it prefers making shorter games, insisting digital distribution has opened the door to games of all shapes and sizes. Even after this quote, I have to say, I feel like they're trying to make excuses for themselves. You're talking about a game that's been in development for how many years now, right? This game's been in development for 5 or 6 years, I think. And we're getting 8 hours of gameplay. And people are criticizing that. And so now they're coming out with quotes going, oh, well, fans of our games like shorter games. Like they're trying to push that notion onto people. Microsoft-owned developer Ninja Theory will soon release Hellblade 2, which costs $50, is digital only and about 8 hours long. Like I said previously, we've already read about this. Follows 2020's multiplayer online game Bleeding Edge and 2017's Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. It's a cheaper, shorter game that launched without a physical release. In a recent interview with IGN, Ninja Theory studio head Don Matthews said Hellblade 2 is the right shape and size of experience to tell the story that developers intended to make. I think what we always set out to do is tell a story and for the game length to be appropriate for the story that we want to tell, Matthews said. So it's not really a case of setting out to make shorter experiences. I think there is a story that we want to tell here with a beginning, middle, end, and end. And what is the right shape and size of experience to tell that story? This is where I'm kind of weirded out. Why didn't you make a movie or a TV show? You should have made an 8-part TV show with an hour-long episode each. It seems like that's what you're wanting to make here. You're not wanting to make video games. That's what this seems like to me. Ninja Theory with Senua's Saga is caught in this space of we make video games, but we really want to make shows. And so it seems to me that they would just be better off making a show. And look, they're going to give you these gameplay screenshots, but I'm sorry. All the trailers I've seen have been very minimal for the amount of gameplay that they've actually shown. Most of what you've gotten would be like some scarce button presses joystick holds for walking, stuff like that. Little bit of combat that, in my opinion, doesn't even look, super engaging. Which I don't know. The game hasn't come out. I could be totally wrong, but it doesn't change the fact this is an 8-hour experience here. And we need to look at what their budget was too. It's kind of crazy. Matthew said Ninja Theory has found an audience for shorter games where every step of that journey is meaningful. What I would say is, as well though, is that I think that since digital distribution has become a thing, it has opened the industry up to games of all shapes and sizes, which I think is really great. So I'm going to compare this to something though. So this quote is, so I'm really pleased to see that there's a lot of people that actually enjoy a shorter experience, something that they can sit down on a whatever Friday night, stick their headphones on, turn their lights off, and kind of sink into an experience, and players who don't necessarily want something that is 50 hours long, 100 hours long. So it's as long as it needs to be. And I'm one of those people. I like shorter games. Dude, I respect everybody's preference for games, I really do. The thing about video games is that it's supposed to be about you having fun, and if you have fun with it, then more power to you. But I will always focus on these businesses and developers and publishers and things like that in the industry that seem like maybe they're a bit off, right? And I've got to say, when you're doing a quote like this, like, really pleased to see there's a lot of people that actually enjoy shorter experience, and you're talking about 8 hours of gameplay at $50 a pop. And what was the budget on Hellblade 2? Let's just pull this up real quick.
The one that brings the heat, the one with the flow, the one that's divine. I'm the one in control, the one with the crown, who never back down, the one busting rhymes.
Yeah, I had seen some speculation that it was somewhere between $200 and $300 million. Yeah.
The one that's divine. I'm the one in control. The one that brings the heat. The one with the flow. The untouchable. I'm the one in control. The one with the crown. Who never back down.
We would have to do some diving a bit deeper to figure that out for sure. I have seen stuff like that though. The development itself was $200 to $300 million, right? So you're talking about, I'm just going to compare this to something real quick. When you talk about like maybe enjoying a shorter game and something that seems a bit more respectable about the way this is being produced and what's being brought to the table, right? Let's talk about something like Stray, okay? Yeah. So even though, and again, I mean, look, I'm just bringing up a game that's notable. Not everybody's going to love this experience. But a lot of people have, right? A lot of people have. It's notable. Yeah. 2022, it was up for a lot of awards, things like that. It's a shorter experience. It took me 11 and a half hours to get through this game. It's shorter, but it's also $20 cheaper. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not, short games can be good. Short games can be good. But there's also something that goes into like understanding and again, I think a lot of this comes down to are you satisfied with what you're paying for what you're getting, right? And I felt good about Stray. It was a great experience for me. I enjoyed it very much. I don't think it was as phenomenal as so many people made it out to be. I think it was very good though. I enjoyed it immensely. It was very neat. Gave me some feels towards the end of the game, as a pet lover, somebody that enjoys animals and the companionship of animals and stuff like that. And it was a cool game, right? It was a cool game. But you're talking about $20 less for almost, for myself, apparently about 4 more hours of gameplay than you would even get in something like Senua's Saga. Yeah. So I think these are things that, and I mean, we can take it to another level too, right? Obviously we're going to be changing this into something that would be much different on the scale of the type of game, the type of story, the visual experience and everything. But you talk about something like Dave the Diver that I played last year, right? Another game that's overwhelmingly positive. You want to talk about getting your money's worth? Yeah, this is a $20 game. This is a $20 game I got 55 hours out of and could have gotten much more. So, they're not wrong in these quotes, right? I just think it's appropriate for us to take a look at what's being put into the development of these games, what they're trying to get out of it at a retail price, and what kind of experience are they giving to us. Content matters, right? This might be a phenomenal experience for people. It could be. But it does seem a bit underwhelming at 8 hours at a $50 price tag. Yeah. I mean, it seems a bit underwhelming. And it seems like they're trying to push the notion onto people, in my opinion, that, you should like shorter games. I can attest to the fact that I've been in positions in my life before I started streaming where I was very short on time. I've always played games. I've always loved games. And whenever I was very short on time to play games, I needed games that were short. I needed games really that were more casual. Yeah, they didn't have as much of a story. They didn't have long quest lines and things like that. I needed things that I could pick up and put down. And everybody's got a different situation when it comes to gaming. A lot of it is time constraints too. And so I don't disagree with this notion on the whole, but I don't think that, I think there's an appropriateness to it as well. I find it hard to see this game coming out at $50 price tag, I guess is what this really comes down to for me. A $50 price tag for an 8-hour experience. And I mean, if the content ends up being something that just blows people away, then maybe. But it's still going to feel like a reach, I think. Because here's the other thing too. I'm not seeing the ability for replayability in this game. I'm not seeing the potential for replayability in this game. It's not like you're going to play through 8 hours and you're going to go, oh, let's go through it a different way. You don't have 17,000 different endings you can get, like Baldur's Gate 3. There's no end game grind in this. They're telling you a story and you're done. That's the way this looks like this game, and I could be wrong, but I've seen nothing so far that tells me this game has anything after you finish it. So, with that, their next quote says, I think there's a lot of pressure on people's time these days, and I think our fans, from what we hear from them, they enjoy a shorter game where our intention is that every step of that journey is meaningful. There's an audience of people that want games that are focused. Nowadays, with more video games launching straight into subscription services and without physical versions, it is becoming increasingly difficult to measure success, at least from the outside looking in. As a first-party Xbox game, Hellblade 2 launches day one on Game Pass. That's at least something, right? Game Pass subscribers will be able to play this without paying, and I think that if you're looking for this experience, I think this is the way to access it. Paying $50 for this seems quite absurd, honestly. An 8-hour experience with no... as far as I know, no replayability or anything like that. Game Pass is where it feels like, dude, buy a month of Game Pass, play this game, and be done with it. Get that experience, be done. I think that's a much more appropriate way to address this on release. While it will also be available to buy standalone across PC via Steam and Xbox, Hellblade 2 seems unlikely to prove its value through sales alone. For Ninja Theory, though, there are many measures of Hellblade 2's success. I think for us as a studio, My focus as well as studio head is how we can empower the team. Here are the artists here to go and create an experience and how to get it out to the widest possible audience. Yeah, I don't know. We're in this really weird scenario right now with gaming, I feel, where, you know, I'm actually really concerned about, like, and I'm gonna get a lot of resentment, a lot of blowback for this, but I'm concerned about where, like, Kojima's stuff's headed, you know? And dude, Kojima's been creating amazing stuff forever, ever. But I feel like there's so many developers that are currently trying to take video games and make them too much like a movie or too much like a TV show or something, which is weird to me. It feels totally opposed to what video games were supposed to be in the first place, which is an interactive experience for us to be engaged in. Again, as I've said before, cinematic experiences are fantastic. They add a great element to games quite often, but I personally am not somebody like Alan Wake 2 felt terrible to me because I was just constantly feeling like I was out of control of what was happening in the game. In control, out of control, in control, out of control. You know, it's not what I'm looking for. A good cutscene every once in a while is fine, but we're in this weird situation. I think Hellblade 2 is going to be very unengaging for you as a game player, to be honest. I don't think that you're going to be sitting there the whole time in control of what's happening. I don't think quite often you will be, actually. Final Fantasy 16 had as much cutscenes in it as the gameplay, you know, as there was gameplay. It's weird. There's weird stuff happening, man, that I don't really understand. I don't get it that much. And it's probably a lot of it's just personal preference, but I just don't understand why you want to try and take video games and turn them into an experience that's in large part opposed to what video games are really supposed to be. If you want to make a movie, go make a movie. You know? If you want to make a TV show, go make a TV show. That's the way I feel about it anyways. I don't know.